All right, bang. Today is Thursday. It is July 23rd. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Before we get going here, I want to talk about Shopify. If you've been sitting on a business idea, Shopify makes it easy to make it happen. Everything you need to start selling is included and ready from day one, including the moment your first customer is ready to pay. Shopify checkout helps more of them finish their purchase, and when they come back, their details are already saved. One tap and they're done because Shopify handles the setup and checkout. You have more time to focus on growing your business and the tools to do it. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to small businesses just getting started. Chief, I love Shopify. One of the things, like they said, like doing a lot of things, like maybe get caught up and you X something out and you close a tab.
Right there.
It's great that it just brings you back to where you were. So I really appreciate that. I like that about Shopify. So with Shopify, nothing stands between your idea and a real business, so go make it one. Start your free trial at shopify.com/dogwalk. Start your free trial at shopify.com/dogwalk. Also, guys, Cold Stone Creamery this summer. Get ready for the ultimate dessert collab. Cold Stone Creamery is introducing cookies and peanut butter ice cream made with Oreo and Reese's. Yeah, it's as good as it sounds. Cold Stone is also mixing things up with a brand new creation featuring this limited time flavor, mixing with Reese's peanut butter cups and Oreo Reese's cookies. And if you're more of a sip your ice cream kind of person, they've got you covered there too. You can try the new cookies and peanut butter ice cream made with Oreo and Reese's as a shake. Plus, every batch of Cold Stone ice cream is made fresh in store and mixed on their signature frozen granite stone, customized just for you. And for July, in honor of National Ice Cream Month, everything is better in taco form. The new cookies and peanut butter ice cream taco is here. Imagine that same incredible ice cream wrapped in a waffle taco, dipped in chocolate and coated with Oreo, cookies and Reese's peanut butter sauce. Cold Stone Creamery cookies and peanut butter ice cream made with Oreo and Reese's is available for a limited time. Try it in a creation or shake for the ultimate ice cream experience. Order now for pickup or delivery from our app or online at coldstonecreamery.com. Go check it out. All right, it's Chief and I here today. We're ready to talk, not a tinfoil topic, just a topic that was a very big news story a couple years ago.
I don't remember this really at all.
I know, and that's what I was going to say. Like, I know it was big because, like, you go on YouTube when I was doing research last night, there's videos with hundreds of thousands, even a million views covering the topic. But I still don't think it reached the pantheon of, like, the greatest or the biggest, I don't want to say greatest, the biggest scams ever.
This is like Epstein, Wolf of Wall Street, like Madoff, like all Ocean's 11, like all these different kind of stories and people rolled into one. I'm not saying that he was doing things like Epstein, but just like the way this guy, his name is Jho Low, and he was running the Malaysian Sovereign Wealth Fund.
1MDB, it's called.
1MDB. And he was running that fund as his own personal slush fund to the tune of billions of dollars, and we'll get into the whole breakdown. But it was just cash. It ended up just being all cash that he was just stealing, and he's still out there. Yeah. He's never been caught.
It's nuts.
It's insane. Like, this should be like a movie, a series. Like, it also reminded me of the guy who was doing. Ever see the documentary Sour Grapes?
No.
So it was this guy who
I'm familiar with it though.
He was like a fraudster in the rare wine industry, and he would just basically buy the bottles, like empty bottles, and like fill it with like shit or his own creation, and then he would sell those for like $700,000. So these wealthy people were like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing. This is like, a 1902 whatever." And so it's just like the level of fraud. But like the more I read about this guy, I find him like a little endearing somehow too.
I mean, he fooled a lot of people. Clearly,
fooled a lot of people, and like it was like the ultimate snake it till you make it. And he because he's still free and living in hiding, he fucking made it.
Yeah.
So I mean, what he did, bad, but like how he got there and how he got to that level, he didn't really do anything illegal until. This was like his life's ambition, and he worked his way up to this spot very strategically until the very end.
Yep.
but he still got the money.
Now, how aware of this were you before I brought this topic to your attention? Because I somehow found this one.
Yeah, you found this one. I want to say, like, as I was reading and watching stuff, it was like kind of jarring my memory a little bit, but not really. Not like, I don't remember it being the level of headline news that it probably should have been. But maybe that's just because he was based out of Malaysia, and Americans are like, where the fuck is Malaysia? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
But, like, Goldman Sachs is involved. Like, all
Leonardo DiCaprio is involved. Like,
so let's start with just some facts about this guy.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the total allotment that he was allegedly had stolen, $4.5 billion. Okay. It was all, like I said earlier, liquid cash. He dated Miranda Kerr for like a full year. Okay. And I got to say, I said it to you off air. I think if I were going to rank my celebrity crushes all time, I think she might be the most attractive woman who ever lived. I think she's the hottest woman of all time. Like
Really?
prime Miranda Kerr, those little dimples, love her. So when I saw that, I was like, this fucking guy. And then like he financed he made Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
So like when Leo was getting awards at the Golden Globes or whatever for this movie, he shouted this guy out. And that was like when he was trying to like turn his scheme, his fraud, legitimate. But those are like some of the headlines. Like he gave Miranda Kerr like a piano worth $1 million that was all clear. It was like a glass piano. He gave her all sorts of diamonds and jewelry, which she had to give back. But this guy just like had so much money, and unlike a lot of like wealthy people or these sovereign wealth funds, they're tied up in assets. Like you just don't have like unlimited spending. This guy had unlimited spending money, basically.
Yeah. At one point, he was the most liquid guy in like the world
on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Saudis had more because no one really
Who knows how much they have.
But this was full, like bulletproof. He was the richest guy liquid wise in the world.
There was a stretch from October 2009 to June 2010. So 8 months. He spent $85 million. And it was like yachts and sports cars, and he bought a hotel and mansions and like private jets, and like the guy was just like spending money like there's no tomorrow. And he, like I said in the beginning, like it's kind of like a catch me if you can kind of thing. Okay, so his background, he's born to like a very wealthy family, especially by Malaysian standards, and to the point that they sent him to the Harrow School in England for his like his high school years. Like he went to a fancy boarding school, and like this boarding school is like, it's like the who's who. It's like wealthy people from all over the world send their kids there. British aristocracy, British royalty, like they all kind of go to the Harrow School. And this kid, when he was a kid, he like recognized the opportunity in front of him. Maybe not so much for the education, although he did get into Wharton. But it was like, I'm going to use this as like networking. So he was from like a lowly millionaire type family from Malaysia, where everyone else there was like the most connected, multi-millionaires and billionaires from around the world send their kids to this school. So he went there, and then like he was always, even back then as a high schooler, teenager, scheming to like make himself seem richer than he was. So he makes these friends in England. And he's like, why don't you come live with me on my boat this summer? I want to show you guys Malaysia. So he brought a bunch of friends back with him to Malaysia. Did you catch this nugget?
No, I didn't see this.
Okay. So he gets a 160-foot yacht. Okay. It's not his yacht, not his family yacht. It belongs to a family friend who he was like, can I have access to your yacht for the summer? And they were like, okay, fine. He replaces all the family photos and all the little knickknacks on this yacht with pictures of himself. So like all the kids at school was like, oh, this guy's like a billionaire or something. And he at 16 or however old he was in high school had his own yacht, a 160-foot like mega Jeff Bezos yacht that was not his at all. But he like told people it was, designed it to make it look like it was his. And then he just had like the elites from across Europe and the world that were his classmates live with him on this yacht for the summer with a crew and everything, and just like, didn't have to pay for shit, but made it look like it was his own.
So was that the hook?
that was like the hook.
Okay.
And it was like, so then it's like, they're like, oh, he's one of us. When really, like, he was from a successful family, but nothing, like, enough to send him to that school, but not at the level of these kids. So he was already, and he had a quote in there. He said he saw it, that he was able to form important relationships, and that was the core foundation for the way he was going to live his life. So he was already being like, this is the son of an oil magnate. This is the son of Hollywood. This is the son of whatever. This is the son of stepson of the eventual prime minister who he got in. So he was like accumulating all of these friends by giving them like these lavish parties and lifestyle and life on a yacht, and recognized it's not like what you know, it's who you know, even back then. So then he leaves that school, he graduates, he goes to Wharton, Penn in Pennsylvania, where Trump went and all that. And while he's there, he starts to use the same playbook. So he spends money lavishly. His father's sending him money all the time. He spends it lavishly. He drives around in like a Lexus convertible around campus. And people start to spread the rumor, like, oh, this kid, who is Jho Low?
Mm-hmm.
And the rumor spreads that he's a prince of Malaysia. He's not. But like he just lets, he's like, yeah, yep, the Prince of Malaysia, just kind of lets that go. Okay. Then for like his 21st birthday, he decides to throw himself a wild birthday party. Open bar, exclusive club, invites all these people, throws this huge party, had only put down like $300 for a deposit on the party. Never paid the club. So it was like thousands and thousands of dollars for this club for his party. And then he was stiffing them for months and months and months, to the point that he just was somehow able to like negotiate a reduced fee and then had it covered somehow. But like the deposit for the party was like basically, I mean, 300 might not be 300, but it was basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just stiffed them, but it was like the party had already served its purpose. It's like aggrandizing himself and making himself seem like a guy who was like bigger than life. And he would do this all the time. And there was another story where he wanted to have like a similar type party at this very exclusive club in Manhattan. And he managed to obtain letterhead from the Sultan of Brunei, and like had it typed out on this, like, hey, like we want to have this ultra VIP party, similar situation, where he invites all of his like, well-to-do classmates and people who can be advantageous to him. And they got, bottle service, the whole thing at this ultra expensive exclusive nightclub in New York, because somehow he finagled a way to get letterhead from like the king of a far off country in Brunei. So it's just like he was always able to like fake it and then like make himself seem bigger and bigger and bigger. So now he's meeting all these people, and he goes back to Malaysia, and he rents out, like, they have, I think it might still be the world's tallest skyscraper, but he rents out an office space in there because after Wharton, he started like his own company. And while he was like in college, he started like traveling, and he was like researching sovereign wealth funds, specifically out of the Middle East. You know what a sovereign wealth fund is?
Not particularly.
Okay, so there's a few famous ones. So Saudi Arabia has one. It's typically countries that have their economy reliant upon one resource.
Okay.
So like I would say the two most famous ones are Saudi Arabia, and the Saudi Arabia one, obviously they got a gazillion barrels of oil underneath their feet at all times, but you want to diversify your economy a little bit. That's a way to do it. And so that was the thing that bought Newcastle United. It did the Live Tour. It did all these, which I guess they're not spending on that as much as they once were. But like that was out of the Saudi sovereign wealth fund. The most successful one is actually Norway. So back in like,
we might have talked about
I think
that
we might have
before.
talked.
Yeah,
so
no, I just didn't correlate the naming of the.
So Norway, they found oil in the North Sea, oil and gas in the North Sea, and they set up a fund that is owned by the people. It's managed by the government, and they are like so disciplined about it, where they only take 3% of the money out per year, and it pays for like everything: education, healthcare, infrastructure, whatever. Like it's totally paid for, and it's now, I think it's the biggest one in the world. It's worth like a couple $1 trillion.
Wow.
And it's like they invest in like 60 different countries. They own like 1 to 2% of like every stock in the world. Wow. Basically, it's enormous, but it's like, at least by all reporting, like very, very well run. Mm-hmm. And like they don't like imagine the temptation to be like, oh, well, why don't we just take 6%? You know,
yeah,
and like you know, build whatever. But they just, it's 3% every year, and that's all they do. And they now, Norway went from being one of the poorest countries in Europe to one of the wealthiest. And so those kind of became in vogue in the early 2000s with what the Middle East was doing. So he was going to set up a Malaysian one, and he brought in, so he through all these extravagant parties and the high school stuff and college and meeting people, he got in with like a certain sheikh of Abu Dhabi, like who runs they have a massive one as well. So he introduces the sheikh to his friend. His friend is the stepson of the deputy prime minister of Malaysia at that time. And they basically are like, all right, we're going to set up, and then it was also with the Saudis too, we're going to set up a sovereign wealth fund, and it's going to help pay for all this infrastructure in Malaysia. And so it's like, it's $1 billion. So that's how much the fund was worth. Malaysia was worth $1 billion. So they were going to set it up in the Saudi Petro company. So you have like oil returns. It was like an investment. So he gives 300 million of the billion to this Saudi petrol company. Then he takes the other 700 million because the deputy prime minister got elected as prime minister on the strength of this deal with Abu Dhabi and with Saudi Arabia. So it's like, oh, like all the people are like, this guy knows how to get deals. He's getting foreign investment. Like he's the future of Malaysia. And because Jho Low kind of like through his network of ill-gotten gains put the two together, didn't take any credit. The prime minister, though he didn't really have an official title, Jho Low, with the Malaysian government, he was basically given full control and carte blanche. So he has $1 billion from Malaysia, 300 million go to like the thing that they had agreed upon. He takes the remaining 700 million, puts it in a fake shell company in a Swiss bank, and set it up in the way it's called bearer shares, which I had never heard of before reading this. But it's basically, it's a way to like shield it, and it's like whoever owns like the physical printout copy of the share is in ownership of it. There was only one guy on that share. It was Jho Low. Okay, so he just all of a sudden had $700 million at his disposal, and he started living like high on the hog, kind of what I said earlier. In an 8-month span, he spent $85 million. So all like kind of in LA and Vegas. You go on these unbelievable gambling trips. He'd throw these incredible parties, kind of like a Gatsby figure. And like, then it came out that he was paying celebrities $100,000 a night to show up to his parties. And it was like all kinds of people. It was Victoria's Secret models. It was Leonardo DiCaprio. He was famously like in a poker game with Leonardo DiCaprio, lost $1 million on a hand. It was like, whatever. And because he just had like this money in this Swiss bank that was just liquid cash that was all his. So he was obsessed with Paris Hilton. So it was like probably from One Night in Paris, he was obsessed with when that came out. But then it got to the point where like she was hanging out with him at these parties. She was going to a lot of his parties because he was paying her $100,000 a pop. Same thing with Kim Kardashian. He gave Kim Kardashian like a white Ferrari for one of her weddings. And like, so he was just like a guy that was known because he was throwing these insane parties and paying people. There was some report that he spent like $1 million sending like 24 bottles of champagne at a club to Lindsay Lohan. Like he was just doing like insane shit. The most insane one, the little nugget that I saw. Did you see the New Year's Eve thing that he did?
Yes.
Okay, you want to tell that one?
So Jho Low was was such a baller, he would bring all these celebrities. They celebrated New Year's Eve in Australia.
Yeah, Sydney.
In Sydney, Australia. So they celebrated New Year's Eve there. Then they piled onto his jumbo jet after midnight, and then they flew all the way back to Las Vegas to celebrate New Year's twice.
He had 2 New Year's Eve parties. It's fucking insane. He's like, I want to do this twice.
Yeah.
And then there was like people who would, they just like never asked any questions. Like he just has all this money. And then because he was spending so lavishly, $700 million when you're doing $85 million at a clip, basically, and he's like renting out like clubs in Vegas and losing and gambling and going to Macau and going to, and he was starting to dwindle a little bit. So he decided, I'm going to set up a media company, and it was Red Granite Productions, and their most famous venture was The Wolf of Wall Street. So DiCaprio and Scorsese were attached, and they were pitching it to all of these different movie studios across Hollywood. And they're like, and it was going to cost $100 million to make. And all the studios were like, we're not risking $100 million on what will undoubtedly be a rated R movie. Like we just think it's too big of a risk.
Dumb, by the way.
Dumb.
Leo and Scorsese wants to make a movie.
You do
fucking give them, because that movie made $400 million. So.
Yeah. And Jho Low was like, well, I got $100 million for you. So he financed the movie. So the whole reason Wolf of Wall Street, which is all about greed and corruption and fraud, got made was because a guy that was mastering, makes Jordan Belfort look like fucking nothing. He was doing greed and fraud.
Insane irony.
Unbelievable. Like, it's almost too on the nose.
Yeah, exactly.
The other funny thing that came out about the whole Wolf of Wall Street stuff, so he threw like a huge party to celebrate, I think it was like the release of the movie. And they invited the real Jordan Belfort. And Jordan Belfort was like the first guy on the record to like sniff it out. He's like, nobody would spend money like this if they worked for it. It has to be stolen. So like Jordan Belfort sniffed out the whole, like, this guy, something's up with this guy.
All right, hey, let's take a quick break. So I want to talk about Reese's. Listen, there's something for everyone when it comes to Reese's. Chief, what's for you?
Brother, give me a Take 5.
What's not for you? What's not for everyone? Like, it's Reese's.
As soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go get a Take 5.
Okay.
That's like, since we opened the Reese's room, that's the one I find myself going back to more and more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like just, they got the sealable bag with the animal crackers.
I haven't tried that yet. I used to love an animal cracker back in the day.
Yeah, you got to dip into that.
Okay.
You got to dip into that for sure. So Reese's is great. Obviously, the fast break.
People love the fast breaks. Too.
Yes, those are really people like to crush those up and put them in the ice cream.
Oh,
the cream team. Have you seen that?
Oh,
I've seen that.
Pretty good.
I think that's a Stephen Chase special. So go get your fast break. Go get your original Reese's, whatever it is. Reese's, the official candy partner of Barstool Sports. Go get Reese's wherever you shop, and enjoy yourself a Reese's. Also, guys, part of my cheesesteak. If you're watching the game, working late, or just too lazy to cook on a given night, there's only one call to make. Part of my cheesesteak. We're talking thinly sliced steak, melted provolone, mouth-watering cheese sauce, all loaded up on a perfectly toasted hoagie roll. This is a legit heavy hitter cheesesteak, and if you really want to do it right, grab the Big Cat Combo, cheesesteak, fries, and a drink, or the brand new chopped cheese combo. That's a complete meal. It's available nationwide, and it delivers easy. Game day, covered. Late night, covered. So stop overthinking dinner. Order Part of My Cheesesteak right now and use code AWL for free delivery on partofmycheesesteak.com. All right, let's get back into the show. See, I think maybe I think that might be a tall tale. I think people probably had an idea. I just don't think people might not have cared.
I think that there were certain people that might have known, but it's like that's kind of the next part of this story. But I don't, if you're a Kim Kardashian or you're some Victoria's Secret models, some rich Asian guy, or the high school kids, or you're at Wharton. It's like, we got wealthy people coming in from all over the world all the time who just, they're trying to make friends, they're trying to do whatever, they're trying to network, and they're living off their dad's money. And I think that there's a lot of, they probably run into people like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not to this level, but they're just like, this fucking guy's crazy, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
So,
I just looked it up. Red Granite Pictures, like, yeah, they made 2, 4, 6. They made like 11 movies. They funded Dumb and Dumber 2.
Okay. So another great film.
Yeah, but $50 million budget, made 170. So he had some.
So the money was starting to come in, and he was like getting to the point where he's like, I can actually kind of pay back what I stole. But he's like, I need this to look more legitimate. So he connects with, another Abu Dhabi guy and Goldman Sachs. So there's this guy, Tim Lassiter or something like that, who is like the head of Goldman Sachs for Asia. So he had been doing some of these sovereign wealth things. And this is where it's like, yeah, people probably fucking knew. So because the Malaysian, what'd you call it? What was the name of it?
1MDB.
1MDB.
Tim Lessner.
So they had no credit rating because it's like a new fund. It's Malaysia. They didn't really have any real investments other than these movies, and this guy's just spending cash. So to get legitimate investors involved, you need to have like a credit rating. And you can't, so they had pitched this thing like, hey, we're going to use this fund to build power plants. And they weren't really getting any bites from like the institutional investors. So he wines and dines Tim Lessner, wines and dines him, gets him hooked up with the Abu Dhabi guy. They kind of like do like a joint venture. So you get to use the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund at the time had $70 billion and a great credit rating. So like they were linked to the 1MBD.
Yeah.
And Goldman Sachs put their name on it after this. It was like, if Abu Dhabi's involved and whatever, then we'll fund it, or we'll back it and we'll sell these bonds. So that's where like the next money comes in. So they sold 2 different tranches of bonds. The first one was for $3.5 billion, and then they did a follow-on. So that was 2012, and they did a follow-on one for an additional $3 billion in 2013. And then he put money into the fund, and then he set up another thing in like the Cayman Islands where he put $1.4 billion. So he can go back to doing like his Great Gatsby shit. And people would say like it was very Great Gatsby because he never seemed to be enjoying the parties. He would check in like, are you having a good time? Like wanted to make sure everybody had a good time, but he was never like seen like living it up. He was just like financing and funding it and being seen. But like it was like that was like the stories now. Like he was like something was off with him is what people say in hindsight. So where you think Goldman Sachs might have known what was going on. So they charged on those 2 different bond deals. They got $600 million in fees for doing that deal. That is 200 times the normal amount. So Goldman Sachs, is one of the most famous banking institutions in the world, investment institutions in the world. They wouldn't do this. Like if they probably had to be convinced to do it because it's like, what the fuck? Like this, they probably figured it out. Tim Lessner, all these other, they probably were like, this is fucked. Okay, fine. We'll pay you $600 million on this. All right. and I think that's kind of how it went. And so then people started like in Malaysia, because this was like the prime minister got elected on the strength of this, like, hey, we got this sovereign wealth fund. We're going to have all this infrastructure coming in, all this investment coming in. And these projects, like, where is it? Like, we don't have these power plants. We don't have, new roads or skyscrapers or like, what's going on? So like the people started to like question it. And then there was a whistleblower. So a whistleblower leaked all these emails to the press, and Jho Low goes on the lam. So he's like by himself. He goes into hiding. He still has access to all this money, but to this day, he's never been caught. No one really knows where he is. There was rumors that he was at a Victoria's Secret fashion show in 2017, that he might be in Macau, he might be in Myanmar, but like this is a guy who got away with stealing, call it, the total was in the fund ended up being like 4.5 billion. This is the range of what, or 6 billion rather, the range of what they think he stole was between 1.4 and 2.4 billion dollars, I should say. And now and just got away with it. there was a protest in the streets of Malaysia after the email leaks came out and the investigations were going on. 100,000 people turned out to be like, about it, to really just go after not even Jho Low, because his name, like if you were Googling him at the time, like nothing would really come up. You're like, oh, this Asian mystery man throwing parties and he's financing, Red Granite doing Wolf of Wall Street. But like, he was like smart about like keeping an appropriate amount of distance from all these things. So it wouldn't be like producer Jho Low. It'd be like in the end credits, it'd be like special thanks to Jho Low. So like he was like very careful about like how attached he allowed himself to be to these different businesses, where there's always like enough degrees of separation. He could move money around to like the Swiss account, the Cayman Islands, all these different places, and just it's called layering, and you just layer all these different transactions. And then the other thing he would do, you see this one where he set up these different shell companies, and he made it so he would set up a shell company. One of them was called BlackRock Commodities Limited. Has nothing to do with BlackRock, the actual venture. So if you're like doing an investigation, you see this, he sent X amount of money to BlackRock.
But it was
a shell company that only he had access to. Okay, so, and he had like 3 or 4 of those, and they're all like, oh, Fidelity, whatever. And, all these different that would look on paper, if you weren't really paying attention, it looks like a genuine, legitimate, big institutional financing company, investment company. And so he was just like, he just kind of was able to hide and put money in different places and move money and make things look like real transactions, stayed off the grid. And then, like police and the FBI and all these, Interpol and all these places got involved. So like Miranda Kerr had to give back a bunch of valuables. Leonardo DiCaprio had to give back a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I have that, what he had to give back. And that's how the story caught my eye. I was just ripping through Leo's Wikipedia page one day. And what he had to give back was an Oscar won by Marlon Brando.
Okay.
$3.2 million Pablo Picasso painting, and a $9 million Jean-Michel Basquiat collage. I don't know. I probably said that wrong, but he's probably super famous.
Yeah.
But I'm not in the collage game.
He was buying Picasso paintings. Like, he was doing all kinds of stuff. So he gave
Miranda Kerr to surrender $8 million worth of jewelry.
Yeah, $8 million worth of jewelry. And then, like, that glass, an 8.88 carat diamond pendant, another 11.72 carat shaped heart diamond with the matching set. Just all sorts of different, and then like that glass piano, which was worth over $1 million. So you just had to surrender that back. The prime minister, who, I have a hard time believing he didn't know that this thing was fucked, but he's denied it. He got charged and tried and sentenced to 12 years in prison, which he is appealing. So he's out on appeal. He's still like a member of the government. So he lost an election. It was the first time that his party had lost an election for prime minister of Malaysia in 60 years. So people were like pissed, but he's still just like out there, like sitting in Congress or whatever. When the police raided his I don't know, probably not an apartment, probably wherever he was living, he had 274 million of goods that were stolen through the, paid for by this fund. And he had $28 million in cash. So when he lost the election, he tried to like flee the country, and he was like, oh, I was just going on a golf trip, like nothing to see here. And then they raid his residence and found all this stuff. But he's still like I said, like no one's really gotten in trouble. Jho Low is in hiding.
Believed to be in China.
Some people say China, some people say Myanmar. Macau is like their Vegas. But that's like an island. I think like in terms of legalities, it's more similar to like a Hong Kong, where they're like sort of like quasi China, like you might have to get like your passport stamped to get in and out. We'd have to ask Wonton Don about that. But like those are the 3 places where he's been, like Shanghai, Macau, and Myanmar. And he's just got probably still over $1 billion living the high life
out there.
Got away with it. Like might be the ultimate heist I think I've ever heard about.
It is. And now,
I love a good heist.
Yeah, listen, and that's a question for you, okay? And really a question for everyone. Because I would imagine with how liquid this guy is, because did he give his money back or did he keep it all?
No,
Is that so?
I think he still has.
he still
Like
has
I don't
all
know.
the stuff?
I don't know if they were able to see some,
Yeah,
but the speculation is that he still has like $1 billion.
it's crazy. But at what point? And this is like a societal thing, so you can't answer this. But at what point does the people glamorize a guy like this? Like, it was just crazy because you look back and like fucking Dillinger and, all these mob guys.
Yeah.
And, Wolf of Wall Street at this point is like a modern, like, at what point does that happen with Jho Low?
I don't know. And that's like the other thing too. Did the Tim Lesnar guy go to jail?
Yes, he did, I believe.
2 years in federal prison.
Yes.
Okay. So, and he was ordered to forfeit $43.7 million.
And I'm not advocating that, to be clear. I'm
No.
asking.
Yeah, like I think this is definitely one of those situations where it's like, I do think that it's like, it's different. Like the Wolf of Wall Street, I think people romanticize like the lifestyle maybe.
True.
And Jho Low would be in that category as well. But when you talk about like Dillinger, it's like, it's like you're or like Butch and Sundance, right? Like they're robbing train cars,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't know, like an honor amongst thieves kind of thing. Like it's,
Yes, for sure.
And this is like, to me, it's like, I'm glad Lesnar went to jail, even though it was $2 million or 2 years rather, and $43 million. He's probably still doing just fine. But like Goldman Sachs as an institution, if someone gives you $600 million, you might want to be, and it's 200x what you would normally get on fees for a deal like that.
You might want to put the antennas up.
Or they knew.
Yeah.
And they're just like, fuck it, who cares?
You just didn't care, yeah.
600 million, fucking put,
Yeah, exactly.
wire if you put our name on it, whatever, sell these bonds, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
And
like your friends and neighbors. I don't know if you watched
it. With John Hamm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like they have to know. Like they're not doing that deal blind, being like, oh, this guy's a sucker. Like everybody has like their price and their motivations, and it's like, that's why, when you go back to like the Epstein stuff, okay, and like he was, doing the parties and all, throwing these lavish things, and oh yeah, come down to the island, come out to New Mexico, I got the most expensive real estate in Manhattan, and all, he's like a man about town, and he makes these connections, and a guy who kind of came out of nowhere and did it, like complete fraud. And it's like, yeah, but like, who was processing all, like Chase or whoever, I can't remember who, someone got like investigated, but not really, like on the financial fraud side of what was going on with him. Like these big institutions, they gotta know, like, and they gotta ask the question, like, where is this money coming from? And like we see like with other either governments or whatever, like Iran and Russia, and it's like, oh, you're out of like the international payment system. Like you're out. And so like they have the ability to freeze assets, and the governments do and the banks do. I think it's called SWIFT is the thing I'm thinking of with Russia. We're like, oh, we're kicking them out of SWIFT. They won't be able to process any transactions. And it's like, I didn't even know that existed before they. But it's like, so they like these governments and these institutions have the power to like stop these types of things. And it's just like, we'll just collect our check. So it's like the individual to me is like, he is also stealing from, like, Malaysia's not exactly like a rich country.
Yeah.
So it's like these people who like, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are starving in Malaysia. What's the GDP of Malaysia?
And that's the big thing too. Like that's why, like, I don't know exactly like how like it ties down to where the stolen money is from, but that's why like Madoff, I think, will never be glamorized, because like, how many people like lost their fucking life into that? Yeah.
Yeah. So like the GDP per capita of Malaysia is 15 grand, so it's like they have some money. It's not like considered a poor country, but it's like by World Bank standards. But it's not like it's doing well. and I'm sure there's a ton of poor people who could use the jobs, the electricity, and the infrastructure to like build it into a modern country. And this guy was just like, I'm going to spend it on Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
So like there is just something where it's like, you know, the whole system is fucked. Everyone is, you know, if you look at it through that lens where it's like everybody's like, you know, the big banks are cheating, the governments are cheating, everybody's cheating. Why can't I do it?
Yeah.
You know, so rules for thee, not for me kind of thing. So, and this was like, he put, you know, at least 10 years, we call it, like, because when he got reign of that fund, he was only 27. So from the time he was in high school, call it 15, 16, 17, he put 10, 12 years into like building up his reputation. And like, he has to have some sort of charm. He's dealing with sheikhs, and he's dealing with British aristocracy, and he's dealing with, you know, high level bankers, and, you know, and it's just like, he was just, you know, he was a master manipulator, con man.
Yeah.
And he's just on the lam. He's just out there.
It's crazy.
So he's probably just smoking cigs in a Macau casino right now, still losing, you know, $500,000 on a hand.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
So, but yeah, it's a good question for society. Like, where do you come down on this guy? Red Granite's got to come out. I don't know if what happened to that company, if it folded up with him.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
But this to me, like, this should be a movie story.
I think eventually it will be, right?
I would think.
Yeah, it's got to be. Because, and like for people who like are driving or whatever who can't Google him, he's like a pudgy Asian guy.
Oh, his nickname is the Panda.
Right?
Yeah, his friends called him the Panda.
Like without the haircut. Like, I mean, he's got
some Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Like without the haircut, he's got that in him. Red Granite meat. Yeah, he made some fucking... He made a bunch of movies, dude.
What other movies besides those two?
Nothing really that caught out of... Friends with Kids, Out of the Furnace, Wolf of Wall Street, The Bagman, Horns, Dumb and Dumber 2, Dying of the Light, Daddy's Home, and Papillon.
Yeah, he also bought like a music platform called EMI, and he was making some money off of that too. So like he had a few like decent business ventures. Like he made a shit ton of money on Wolf of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a crazy story that like needs to be told. And the fact that like in the midst of all this, he had like basically a year-long relationship with Miranda Kerr. That's insane.
It's nuts.
And then she's just like, oh, this guy's a fraud. I'm out. And then she gets with the Snapchat guy, and they've been married ever since.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story. So when it crossed my desk when I was deep diving on, well, not deep diving, I was Wikipedia diving on Leonardo DiCaprio. I was like, I gotta look more into this, and it's crazy that he's just still out there.
Yeah, and like he's got enough to live.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
So wherever
he's probably
he is,
living well.
I would imagine. I wonder if it like if he like China, if he's in China, they have to know he's there. And they're just like, keep spending money.
100%.
Yeah, and we'll look the other way because they got like they're a surveillance state. They got facial recognition fucking everywhere. If he's walking around the streets in Shanghai or Macau, like they know he's there.
But what I'm curious about is like I imagine Abu Dhabi wants to fucking bring this guy back and charge him, right? Like
you would think, but unless like they got their money out somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, like
that would think there'd be some type of butting of heads with them. And if they really thought he was there, if they really had a hunch they knew what country was protecting him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like you would think that they would be.
So, and then here's the other thing. Goldman Sachs agreed to pay over $5 billion globally to resolve the investigation into its role with the 1MDB corruption scandal. This included a $2.9 billion multi-agency penalty in 2020, the largest ever fine in U.S. history. So, and it was also a $3.9 billion settlement with the Malaysian government and a $500 million class action settlement. So it's like, and I bet you that's like sweeping it. So get the Abu Dhabi and the Saudis their money back. Get some of our investors their money back. Hang up the guy Tim Lesner, Let's move on with our lives.
Call it a day.
Yeah.
Crazy story.
Yeah.
And probably not over, right? As long as
he's out there.
As long as he's out there, it's probably not over.
Yeah. And Goldman Sachs currently trades at a market capitalization of $314 billion. So they got it.
They're okay.
They got it.
They're okay.
Yeah.
All right then. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for watching. That's today's show. I feel like we haven't done one of those in a minute. So.
No, that was a fun one though. Yeah. I'm glad I know that story now. It
Yeah.
gave me a chance to Google Miranda Kerr again too. Probably 10 years.
Very attractive.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for watching. That's it for today. That's it for this week. We will see you all on Tuesday.